Thanks for having me.
Listening to that report there, I think I'm sort of throwing out all my questions and I'm bringing in new ones right now in terms of where we move forward on this. First of all, 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter, of course, one against Baldwin, one against the individual, the woman that was the handling, I guess, of the armor. Your thoughts there, should it have been the same charge for both? If we look at the argument that Baldwin is putting forward, saying, I never pulled the trigger, I, relied on the professionals to say, this gun is safe, there are no live rounds, and so, again, it's safe to use as a prop.
I think the reason why we're seeing the same charges for both people is the nature of a movie set. Mm-hmm. Basically, each of them had a small part of the gun safety. That is part of how a movie set works. And so I think what the prosecution is trying to say is each of their maybe small failures led up to this tragic death, but that one failure isn't maybe greater than the other failure, that they're equal. And I think that maybe makes sense. It's going to be hard to convince a jury, perhaps, that the actor has as much of a part as maybe the armorer, but that is what they are saying and giving these kind of equal charges.
What do you expect Baldwin to put forward as well, in addition to all of this, especially sort of going on that note that he's saying, I relied on the professionals, the armorer, to give us the reassurance that everything would be fine with me using this gun. It would have no live rounds in it. We were assured of that. In addition to whether or not they may be bringing in the argument that, from my understanding, based on reports, that the armorer wasn't present at the time when the scene was playing out and was only told later on, I guess, by police or paramedics that it was Alec Baldwin who actually, pulled the trigger, or allegedly, I should say, pulled the trigger.
I think he's got a few actually very strong arguments. The first one is the fact that they still don't know how a live bullet got on this set. The DA, in announcing the charges, said she doesn't think they're ever going to know and that it's not important. And to me, I think that's very important. And if I was as a defense attorney, that is what I would say. But for the live round coming on the set, my action, even if I shouldn't have pulled it, if I, whether or not he did is maybe still in dispute, it wouldn't have killed her. But for that live round, you couldn't find that person, you're putting the culpability on me. So I think that's going to be one strong defense. The other one is whether or not he pulled the trigger. Yeah. The FBI investigation says he did. He's going to have an expert, we know, poke holes in that. And then the question, as you said, what is the industry standard? What kind of responsibility does the actor, but not just the actor, also the producer, because he has both roles here.
Right.
And we heard the DA say that she's really charging him in both roles. Maybe the actor wouldn't have checked, but as a producer, he knew about the safety errors this set has had. Mm-hmm. And so that's going to be a little bit interesting. And we will see, as we call, the battle of the experts. The prosecution will say, this is the industry standard. His defense will say, no, this is the industry standard. Yeah. At the end of the day, I think the biggest uphill battle, just from hearing lots of people talk about this, is can you get 12 people to agree?
Right.
I think that's going to be the tough part because so far what we know, the facts really are not that strong. Yeah. And so I think a lot will be the interpretation of the individual juror.
And they're going to be back, and I'm out of time here, Dina, but one quick point here. They're going to be back on the set, including Alec Baldwin, to finish this film. They ain't giving the reassurance that the professionals will have, they will have proper professionals that will be or safety protocol professionals, I should say, that will be on set there. No live rounds, no ammunition that's being used. But how do you think this is going to change what the overall standard now needs to be compared to what it is right now?
I think it's interesting because, they have not formally charged him yet, right? They say by the end of this month. Is there going to be a plea deal between now and then? We don't know. But let's say this moves forward to trial. I do not see this production continuing. I do not see him defending some really serious charges with the weapon enhancement and still continuing his role in this movie. But we'll see how that goes.
All right, Dina, thank you so much for this. Dina Dahl, law and crime legal